Whether we're talking about far-off galaxies or something happening right here in our own backyard, science fiction is the genre that asks the biggest questions about where we're headed. So today, we're going to launch right into this huge imaginative universe and really break down what makes it tick. We'll look at its core ideas and even the building blocks you can use to create your own worlds. You know, at the very heart of every single science fiction story, I'm talking everything from those huge space operas to the thrillers that just mess with your mind, there's one simple but unbelievably powerful question. What if? What if we could actually travel through time? What if aliens showed up tomorrow? That little question, what if? It's the engine that drives the entire genre. It's everything. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll pin down what the genre of what if really is. Then we're going to uncover the 7 core ingredients that you'll find in pretty much any sci-fi story. After that, we'll get our hands dirty with a guide on how to build a world. And to wrap it all up, we'll mix a couple of these concepts together to get a glimpse of one possible future. Okay, let's kick things off with the basics. What exactly is science fiction when you strip it all down? Because it's so much more than just spaceships and robots, right? So at its core, science fiction is all about exploring possibilities that are, rooted in science and logic. It's about taking what we know, or what we think we know about how the universe works, and just asking, okay, where could this possibly lead? And that last part, that grounding in logical speculation, that's the key. That's what really sets it apart. And this is such a great way to think about the classic sci-fi versus fantasy debate. It's pretty simple, really. If your story has a dragon, you're probably in fantasy territory. But if your story has a spaceship that works because of some complicated anti-gravity drive, well, you're deep in the realm of sci-fi. Science fiction always tries to explain its cool stuff with scientific reasoning, even if it's super theoretical. Fantasy, on the other hand, just leans on magic and the supernatural. No explanation needed. Okay, so let's move on to our next section and see how this all comes together. If you think of sci-fi as a recipe, what are the essential ingredients? Well, it turns out there are about 7 key elements that you'll find in most of these stories. And here they are. These are the fundamental building blocks. You've got everything from futuristic settings and mind-blowing tech to the social consequences of all these changes. Now, not every story is going to use all 7, of course, but the really great sci-fi often blends a bunch of these together to create a world that feels totally unique and real. And here we can see how these big ideas become real, tangible things. A futuristic setting isn't just some vague idea. It's a specific place, like a space station or another planet. Advanced technology gives us amazing concepts like AI and cloning. But honestly, maybe the most important piece of the puzzle is the impact on society. This is where sci-fi forces us to ask those really deep questions about power, about ethics, and about what it even means to be human when the world is changing so fast. So now that we've kind of taken the genre apart to see how it works, let's switch gears. Let's go from theory to practice. How do you actually build one of these incredible worlds yourself? Believe me, it's not as intimidating as it sounds if you just follow a few clear steps. Here's your blueprint. Step 1, start with that core science-based what-if idea. Then you build a world around it. But, and this is super important, you have to create clear rules for how your world and its technology work. You can't just make stuff up on the fly. After that, you fill your world with relatable characters who have to deal with the problems your world creates. And finally, you use their story to explore a bigger theme. Like the dangers of unchecked technology, or maybe the hope for a better future. All right, for our final section, let's actually put this world building into action. We're going to take 2 of the core ingredients we've been talking about, and we're going to see what kind of story pops up when we smash them together. This is going to be fun. First up, let's grab the idea of a dystopian future. Yeah, this is not the bright, shiny future we all hope for. This is a future that has gone seriously wrong. We're talking about a society that's oppressive, super controlled, and honestly pretty dangerous for the average person. Think of it as a huge warning sign. Okay, now let's add our second ingredient, cybernetics. This is all about that line blurring between humans and technology. We're talking about things like brain implants, robotic limbs, AI systems that are literally plugged into people's minds, the whole shebang. So, what happens when you combine a dark, oppressive future with technology that plugs directly into our bodies? What kind of world does that create? And boom, there it is. In just one sentence, you have an entire world. You can immediately feel the tension, right? The total lack of freedom, the ethical nightmare of it all. This is just a perfect example of how combining a couple of core sci-fi elements can create a powerful and super vivid scenario.